Honey, I'm home. I am Sangeeta and welcome to my channel. Ever since I posted the best fudgy chocolate brownies using cocoa powder 2 months ago, people have tried it and loved it. But a few were disappointed that it wasn't eggless. I promised I'd be back when I crack an amazing eggless version for the same, and I did. I was adamant to replicate the recipe with cocoa powder itself and not melted chocolate. Lucky for us, my first trial was a success. Let's get started. Turn on the stove and keep the flame at low. Drop in 100 grams of cold butter into the saucepan. Add 3/4 cup of granulated sugar into it and continuously stir this. You will have to stir this on low flame only until the butter melts. I've used salted butter here. If you're using unsalted butter, please make sure to add 1 teaspoon of salt right now. It just helps balance out the sweetness. Please keep in mind that the butter used is cold, right out of the fridge, and the sugar used is granulated. I've added 3/4 cup of sugar in here. The sweetness is just perfect, but if you're someone who prefers it a little more sweet, you can always use up to 1 cup or 120 grams of sugar. If you're new to this channel, hi and welcome. Please do not forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Now drop in 1/2 cup of cocoa powder into the saucepan. Stir this on low flame until well combined. Once thoroughly combined, keep stirring it for a minute more. I've used Hershey's cocoa powder in this recipe. I used to stock up on Nilgiri's cocoa powder, but they stopped their production, so this was the next best option. While measuring out the cocoa powder, make sure you do not pack the cup. If you're someone who prefers measuring out in grams, you can use 60 grams of cocoa powder. If you want to slightly decrease the cocoa powder to 50 to 55 grams, that would work perfectly too. Turn off the flame after a minute. The sugar has not completely dissolved and that's completely okay. The mixture is still gritty as you can see. While the mixture is still very warm, transfer it into a mixer grinder. Run this at the highest for about 30 seconds to a minute. You can see that the mixture is still very warm and that's important. Run a spatula around the sides of the jar. Put the lid back on and run the mixer again at the highest for about 30 seconds. Now drop in the hung curd and beat this on medium. This is when the gritty mixture turns smooth and shiny. Whip this up for a minute. Use a spatula to get the sides and run the mixer again for 30 seconds on medium. If you're someone who prefers eggless bakes, I have 2 more eggless cakes recipes that I have posted here on my channel. I shall leave a card above. Drop in a teaspoon of vanilla essence, followed by 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour divided. I'm dropping in 1/2 of the flour first and then pulse it. Do not run the mixie on lowest. All you have to do is pulse it once or twice just to get this mixed. You do not want to overmix the flour. Now drop in the second half of the flour and pulse it once or twice. That's it. Our batter is ready. I've lined a 6-inch square tin with butter paper. I'm reusing the paper that the butter comes wrapped in. Pour the batter into the tin. You can find more eggless recipes on my Instagram page. I shall leave the link to it in my description box. Now spread the batter evenly. Make sure to get the corners as well. Place the Oreo and press the biscuits into the batter. Bake this at 140 degrees Celsius for 6 minutes in a preheated oven. After 6 minutes, take it out and tap it on a flat countertop. This just helps you get the cracks. Use a spoon to press the biscuits in slightly. Now bake this again at 140 degrees Celsius for 21 minutes. Our brownies are out of the oven. Allow this to cool in the tin for a while. Unmold it once it cools down slightly but still warm to touch. Now let's cut through these brownies. Though I keep advising you to let them cool completely, I hardly ever listen to myself. I flipped it out of the tin when it was still very hot. I'm even cutting it while it's still very warm. I'd like to think that I'm very daring, but we all know that I'm very impatient. It is just always better to cut it once completely cooled down so that the brownies don't break and can retain crisp edges once cut. Let's take an up-close look at these beauties. Completely cooked at the bottom, fudgy center and cracked top. What more can one ask for? I'm going to run the knife on the Oreo so that I can have a clean break. There we go. Doesn't it look delicious? My mother doesn't really like chocolate cakes, let alone sugar-loaded brownies, but she absolutely loved these and called them perfect. And let me tell you one thing, she doesn't like. She just can't. She's already asking me to make a second batch of these and I'm positive she liked it, and so will you. Until next time.